This is AI. Or more specifically, this is AI. There are lots of ways of using AI without removing you as the artist. For example, this started out as a Midjourney image. I used it as a reference, I put it into Polycam, I had it make a 3D model. But everything you see here was made by me. AI didn't make this satellite dish, didn't put in this dust, which I made with Nimble Nimbus, Element Supply Company. Didn't add this plane with its animated contrails. It didn't decide to add little specks of lens dirt. It didn't add the depth of field. It didn't add grain. And it didn't grade this image either. It didn't decide to add a little tiny truck in here for scale. It didn't figure out to add some dust on here, to composite that in there. It didn't do most of what you see in this image. There's a place for AI as a tool, just like anything else. Really, what the problem, I mean, at least for me, is that people are using it as the entirety of the process, right? I think you have to treat it like, I mean, because it's not going back. It's not like we're going to stop doing this or whatever, especially in commercial art and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's Pandora's box. It's done. That's it. But what people are treating it as is the whole thing. And that's the problem. It's like, it could be another tool and it can help you do things. Just like anything else, it's like a force multiplier kind of thing. You can do more work with it, work that you never would have done, whatever. Enabling like people that have less funds to do certain things and whatever. And like, there's always the argument like, well, you should have paid an artist. But yeah, well, some people can't afford it. You know, like, it's just the reality of how it is, especially with shrinking budgets and all this kind of stuff. But what you can do is use your own time, take stuff that AI helps you do, and use that as a tool. Don't use it just, you know, to be the end product. And there's also all these other people online that are like, oh, I could just make a whole movie now, but just whatever, you know? Like, that's the problem. You know, that's where creativity is lost and whatever. Like, you could still use it as, like, this guy's talking about with mixed media or whatever. You could still use it to generate frames of stuff, like, basically, like, almost like found art, you know? And yeah, there's still the implications of it being taken from people and all that kind of stuff. But at this point, it's like, what do you even do about that? I'm sure some people are going to freaking hate that take, but
I do think, too, a lot of the issues that people have with AI in a lot of ways is the fact that it was built off of the backs of actual artists.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't given permission, wasn't given whatever. Like, it was just built off of that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people have an issue with that. And rightly so.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the same thing as we were just saying about found art. Like, yeah, I mean, it's you know, same in a way, you know, but if you go back to that old adage of like, there's nothing new really being created. Like, if you think about it, it's just a different take or
nothing new under the sun
of something that's already happened, you know, off the backs of, you know, people in the Renaissance and people, whatever, you know, like truly new and innovative.
Well,
stuff.
I mean, but the difference is then you still had to make it. Like, yeah, you can copy an old master's painting or whatever, but like you still had to do it.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, there is that implication to it and whatever.
You had to spend the time to build that knowledge to be able to do that, yes.
But I mean, here's the thing now, though. Like, without just major sweeping changes to all sorts of stuff, you're not getting your, like, oh, well, did they train off of my art or did they train off of somebody else's or whatever, you know, like,
you're never gonna know.
You're not getting that back. Like, there's no way. I mean,
happened is like,
at this point, it's just like, I don't know. Either we just agree collectively to be like, nope, this we're not using that at all, which that's never going to happen, because there's always going to be somebody out there that's like, well, I could use this to do whatever. Yeah. So I mean, personally, I feel like at this point, you've probably paid into this. You know, your art is probably in there somewhere. Something you've done is probably in this anyway. So I mean, using it to me is like getting my money back. You know. What I do have a problem with, and I think is a more major concern, is when people take somebody's stuff, like what should not be allowed is prompting, at least for commercial work, prompting somebody else's name, you know, something like that.
All right.
Other than like your own, like I do think that's a benefit. Like if you could prompt it for your own work to generate your own stuff in your own style or whatever, that'd be cool. But I don't know. I think ultimately though, people that steal other people's styles and all that kind of stuff, just like in the past, are still gonna fail. You know, like it always has to be an amalgam of other ideas put together that defines what you think. You know, like your curation of people's stuff in your own work still kind of, I think, is important.
Yeah.
There's no way to win that topic, though, I don't think. It's just down to, like, what you think. I don't know. Because it's not going back. For good or for ill, most likely ill. The value of, like, doing things yourself, too, I think, will obviously become more important as things go on. And I think that's going to be a big separation from people or whatever. But at the same time, you're also going to have brands that want to lowball everything and whatever. Just do the AI, you know, like that kind of crap. You're going to have that. You're going to have both ends. And it's just going to basically split people into people that do things like cheap on the cheap with AI and people that do things like super custom, and it's going to be super expensive. So maybe on the one hand, it could, you know, help us out, you know, like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It also goes back to that time, that idea where, like I had said before, where there are things that I would like to do, or that I used to do, or whatever, that I can't do because spending time on that is losing money. You know, like painting, for example. Mm-hmm. Like, when am I going to break into the entire art scene to go back to painting and doing all those things? Although I think it is a little easier now, but, like, you know, that's still hugely gatekept too, in one respect. Of course, that's you know, changing, whatever, it's being a little easier with the internet and whatever, but yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll go back to being painting and drawing and all that kind of stuff that's more unique. I don't know, guess we'll see how things go. I keep thinking about how AI is like it's industry disrupting, like world ending kind of stuff, you know, and it's just like a thing that everybody's buying into, and you kind of like, you have to get on the train, because if you don't, eventually you're going to be left behind anyway.
Right. I
keep trying to think of like what the ultimate goal is of this. Like, why does anybody, you know, think this is a good idea, right? You know, like all of these like billionaires and stuff like searching for this, and there's two things. One, obviously, whoever gets to like the singularity AI is going to be like super powerful, basically, because they have everything, you know. But the other aspect of that is that I think everybody sees the writing on the wall, and that because profitability has to go to zero. Like if you're gonna, I mean, at least it reached an equilibrium. If everybody's using this, at some point, there's no way to make money by using it, because everybody has been displaced so much that they don't have money to pay for it, right? Especially with like electricity costs and all of these other things that are going to be going into it. So eventually, this is going to go to like nothing. And I would think that smart people realize that that's the case. You know, the people that are developing this stuff and all of these things. So this is like their exit strategy. This is like, hey, this is my last chance to make money before everything is done. You know, although I don't really know what they're going to do with that money afterwards. But I mean, you know, I guess some sort of economy has to continue, because otherwise, I don't like an actual goal of where this goes doesn't make sense otherwise.
Are you thinking that it's not going to be, that it's just going to be disruptive for a bit, and then it's going to be like nobody can afford it, so it's going to stop being a thing?
Yeah, I mean, basically, because what's going to happen is that on the initial part, it's going to displace a ton of people. Like, look at what's happening with like VO3 or what VO3, whatever it is. That by next year is like, hey, please generate me a movie so I can see this. You know, like, oh, I want to see Spider-Man doing this thing, or I want to see, you know, whatever, right? Make me a space movie about us going to Saturn or something, you know, like whatever it is. So, like, that's going to kill this industry at some point. I mean, other than maybe like very niche things, or like you need just a specific stuff. The problem is, like, a lot of people don't really care so much about quality as much anymore, especially when we're talking about like being able to reduce cost to such a degree.
Yeah.
The first initial wave of that is going to be like ending all of these things, you know. But like what's still going to exist is the businesses that need video and all of these things, you know, like trying to, like, you know, having these people like it's going to, people from our end of the industry, like the creative part, are going to basically be like consumed into those businesses to like run that stuff, you know. Yeah. But that's only going to be a small portion of people, because you don't need the same amount of people.
Yeah, sure.
So eventually, the people that were paying for this stuff, that were using it at least, you know, minimally or whatever, are going to drop off. So eventually, like, it's going to catch up, and there's going to be no profitability for any of this stuff. And then the people that used to buy these people's products and all that stuff are also going to cease to exist, being able to pay for it.
Right. Well,
so eventually, it reaches like a heat death, you know, kind of thing, like where like everything is so spread out and whatever, like there's nothing left.
I guess, but
So the idea, though, is then to make as much money as possible with this before it ends. Like, everybody has this exit strategy.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
So their exit strategy then is to come up with the best thing to get all of the money off of it, and then boom, it's done.
And it's done.
It's kind of like supernova.
I could see that happening. I don't know.
Now, what happens after that? Don't know. No idea.
You don't think that they will find a way to still continue to make it profitable in some fashion? Like, I personally, currently, right now, I don't know how it's profitable now. Like, I don't understand how they make money. But that said,
well, I mean, there's lots of people subscribing to these things.
Yeah.
Because, well, there's two things. Like, I'm paying for these things because I want to know where it's going, you know? Sure. So, like, you have to stay on top of it because it's going that way.
Yeah, it's like any industry thing. Like, you know, you kind of have to... You have to follow it. You have to be a part of it in some fashion so that you know.
Right. Like, even if you don't want to do it, like, there's a bunch of people that we get comments on there like, oh, well, this uses AI or whatever. It's like, okay, but, like, you know, eventually, that, like, I hate the idea of it, but, like, eventually it's going that way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for one thing, our budgets are not super high to begin with. So in our case, it's like, okay, well, we could have that be a little cooler in the back and make ourselves more presentable to people to maybe get an increased budget on something. Or we could just simplify it and not do that anyway. You know, it's not like we're killing a job. Like, I hate that idea that people are like, oh, well, you could have hired an artist to do that. It's like, no, the reality is I would have hired nobody to do it because I don't have the budget to pay for that. So right. I would either do that at a loss, which I've done, or I can make it a little bit better using something that's quick and efficient, and I still take it and make it my own. You know, like,
I think the problem lies is the people that don't do that. The people that just do it, and I mean, they hurt the industry. Like, oh, look what I made,
or whatever. And it's like, well, you didn't make that, and I totally get that argument completely.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I've thought about it slightly here, off and on. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing as like clip art or stock footage.
Yeah.
Like, those things, like, oddly, these can be oddly more specific. However, those things have always existed. And people still shoot. People still go and do those things. But when there's no budget, they take and use whatever. Use a piece of stock footage or use a whatever.
Sure, but the problem there I see is what you hit on there too, is that this can be more specific.
Sure, it can be.
The stock footage is, it's like the old B-roll. What is that? We got that B-roll. It's that thing, like, well, yeah, no, we don't have that. It's too specific.
No! That's too specific! That is not B-roll!
Well, now that doesn't really exist anymore.
Right, because you can get somewhat specific with all that stuff.
And obviously there's complications too with, like, especially, like, I think Adobe's using other people's stuff and whatever to make their AI that eventually will replace the people that put this stuff on their website and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Adobe, in and of itself, I was reading something the other day, and they have lost a ton of money.
Well, I mean, they're also, leading to the death of this whole thing. I mean, the whole stock industry, like, at this point, that's gone. That was something that we were trying to make a play at before with, like, different things. And I still think there's still a play for that for animation and whatever, obviously, because that's not there yet. You can still tweak and customize that to a degree that AI can't really yet. But that's only a matter of time. It's all only a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's like Interstellar. The time is the problem.
I guess the question comes back to is what happens, in 10 or 20 years. I don't know. I can't see that far ahead.
Well, that's the annoying bit about living in this timeline right now. It's that what is ahead, Like, even though I feel like this, I know kind of what's going to happen with AI kind of stuff. Like, what happens? Like, what is the ultimate thing? Like, what are we going to end up as an agrarian society or something? It doesn't even make any sense. It's almost like the Matrix. Like, how the Matrix idea is like every whatever epoch or whatever, like, it resets and like things happen.
Yeah.
And there's also that concept actually in reality of like the fourth turning or whatever, like where like every 80 years there's like a complete subsuming of the old society with a giant war and whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like, I almost feel like that would be the same thing even with AI, because, like, okay, for example, say we all went back to like a Stone Age thing or whatever, right? But we still have like computers and tech and whatever, like it still exists, right? So, like,
right.
If things die off and go to crap, but then like everybody started rebuilding again, right? Like, what's going to happen eventually is, yeah, you're going to use AI again. It's like, it's not going to cease to exist. So even then, you're still going to end up back in the same same situation. Where does it go? What happens? I have no idea. I keep looking at other things to be profitable in other ways or whatever, like as things are going.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to like, what to take. I was talking to somebody, and I was basically saying like, you know, like it's like I feel like I'm gonna miss the boat on something, except for it's like a situation where I don't know what a boat looks like, and I don't know where the port is.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go forward in that environment?
I don't know. I mean, I do think that there's still, at the moment, and I think there still will be for quite a while, you know, the higher end stuff that still gets made.
There's always like a bespoke whatever.
I do also think that at some point, because we are consuming media in such a rapid pace that
Well, it's throwaway too.
yeah, it's throwaway media too. It's not like something that's lasting. So a lot of that, I do think a lot of that stuff that, you know, people currently like create will eventually just get replaced with people using AI to create that stuff, because it doesn't, because one, it doesn't matter, but two, you know, people have gotten used, people started getting used to that, you know, lower quality type of stuff that I don't know how to say.
It's like that. Well, it's all that all is born out of like meme culture type stuff too, because like, you know, it no longer was like interesting for something to be perfect and whatever and have a really good point or whatever. Now it's like, you know, I can't have cheeseburger. You know, like it's funny because it's funny and it's like a crappy image and it's like, you know, whatever. Like that's how all meme type things are for the most part. Like it doesn't matter how good they look or whatever, you know, like they're throwaway content for a quick laugh and you're like, haha, okay, and that's it. You know, and like there used to even be ones that were like super funny and like you would think about, oh, like that was a really good one, you know? And now it's like something pops up and you like, you just scroll past and you're like, haha. You know?
Yeah.
It's like we're almost damn near robots already. So I mean, I don't know. But at the same time though, as time goes on with the way things are too, that content is also going to be less relevant, I feel like. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's hard to like doom scroll when, you know, you have no money or anything, I guess. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not a doom scroller, so I can't really say that again.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go, what we do. It's hard to say. I don't know. I feel like we're already like kind of feeling the effects of this stuff, but I don't really know. Like, people still come to us for like custom stuff and whatever, I guess, but I don't know.
If I start to think about it, it like kind of freaks me out a little bit, and I try my best to not think about it and just continue learning, continue doing the things that, you know, made me somewhat successful.
I mean, that's all we can do, really. I mean,
Versus,
it's not like, you know, I'm 41. It's not like I'm gonna like switch over and like do a completely different industry.
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna go off and be a doctor now or something? You know?
I suppose you could, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Digging ditches sometimes.
You see, even like
sometimes sounds
like
good.
Eventually, all of those things are going to be done too. You know, like what? Like,
Yeah.
The problem is with the way that this is going. What am I going to move to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Okay.
say I go crazy and I'm like, all right, you know what? I feel like being a doctor now, right? You know, whatever. Okay, so I go and I spend, you know, another 4 to 10 years doing that, right? To learn that aspect of it. But by that time, I mean, there's already surgical robot type things, you know? Even ChatGPT at this point can like somewhat give you a diagnosis on things. And, you know, it's not obviously 100% accurate and sometimes it lies to you about stuff or whatever, but like by the time we're 10 years advanced from now, you know, like I've used ChatGPT since pretty early on, same thing with Midjourney, all of these things, like the rate of it advancing is nuts.
Yeah.
10 years from now, ChatGPT to this point is already indistinguishable from some humans.
Yeah. Some of it is, for sure.
Like, it's not the smartest human, but it could convince me that it's smarter than the dumbest human, and that's not good.
No.
So 10 years from now, I mean, you know what? And that's not even like a singularity based type of AI, you know, like it doesn't create new things. It's a pattern recognition, really. It's like rampant pattern recognition, kind of like we are in a way. It's like the word that comes next is the word that it uses, you know?
Right.
Like given the input, it's responding with words that follow a pattern. And as advanced as that is already, like 10 years from now, who knows? So really, any path I go down that would be profitable, it doesn't make any sense. Like even like you're saying, digging ditches or whatever. Like I mean,
that's not a profitable thing. That's
well,
just saying like not.
That's all. No. I'm just saying like with the pace of advancements in robotics lately too. Like I don't even know what's going to be left.
Sure.
And then you look at behind of all the people that are pushing this stuff too. It's all. I mean, most of them are people that want depopulation and stuff too. It's like, well, how do you get that? How do you get that? Oh, I know how, by making it to where it's not profitable or feasible to live.
Yeah.
That's the darkest road.
I don't know. It's all weird. I don't know. I fear for it just in the vein of my children having to deal with it more.
Yep.
And I will. We've already kind of, been through the ringer, done our things to,
Well, I mean, I always think about that. I mean, even just in normal society, like the way things have gone anyway, like I look at like things that my parents got to do or whatever when like, or even like even to now, like the things that I used to be able to do, you can't even do now. Like it doesn't.
That's true. In a lot of ways, that's very true.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Or like all these people that like can't buy houses and stuff. Like I was lucky enough to be able to like get to that point. Granted, that's a lot because of my grandparents' work ethic beforehand, wherever they give us some money to put a down payment down.
Yeah.
So I got super lucky with that. And I think we would have eventually made it anyway, but we'd be behind at this point, and with no possibility of like finishing paying off our house probably by the time that this goes through. Hard enough as it is now. So that's your Tuesday morning blackpilling. You're welcome.
Our rant. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Now, for motion designers, we're not there yet. And I think for motion design, it's probably, I'm not sure will ever be as useful for motion designers as it will for video editors. Okay, partially, that's because if you think about who owns YouTube, it's Google. And YouTube is like hundreds of billions of hours of video. How much motion design is there to actually train an AI model on? But
That's a pretty good point. That said, I do use AI in some of the stuff I'm working on, as you've seen. So I don't know about that, but it's helpful for background stuff, all sorts of little pieces and things that, like he was saying earlier in this talk, wouldn't exist if I had to pay somebody to do it because it's just not worth it.
There's all these different examples of this where it's like someone gets freaked out because their thing is now easier. And what happens is people want 100 times the amount of their thing. I really think that's going to happen with all three of these. I think,
man, that's the part that I don't know, because like I was talking with Sev earlier, that kind of content though is going to be throwaway stuff because people's attention spans are so short now. Everything is just disposable. And this, making it so easy, the commoditization of it, it's going to make other things disposable. Just like over time, we have like, for example, manufacturing things. What do we have now? Everything is so easy to make and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, compared to, like 1900, what do we have now? Everything is disposable. You use it, you throw it away. That's what's going to happen. At least that's my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I like Joey and I agree with him on a lot of things. This one, I don't know. I don't think so.
And the people that benefit the most are the ones that get on the wave early. Okay? So if any of this was appealing to you, I highly recommend, I don't know, maybe taking a class in these things. I know a guy, right? But really what I would recommend is like, just experiment with these things. Just know they're possible so that when you spot an opportunity, you're like, I know the thing that can do that. And you can like just learn.
That I definitely agree with. You can't bury your head in the sand. Pandora's box is open. Things are going to change. You got to be on board with whatever happens.
So all of these tools, they're weapons against budget and deadline. We're going to say goodbye to them. And I hope that you guys are feeling future-y. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. I hope I said something worthwhile.
I was going to say about the ickiness part with AI and how it was trained. I mean, again, he's right. People that are coming up, they're not going to care. Ethically, I don't even know where we go. Because, who knows what's art has been taken, whose art's been taken, how it's been used. And then it's almost like now, because, your art is probably in this, depending on what you put your art on, you've paid into the system. So now, do you not use it? You don't, you're going to be taken over, especially, again, as things become commoditized and disposable. So, man, I don't know. All right, so I should probably say that I do think, for the most part, Joey's right. There's still money to be made in this industry. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working in it. But it's hard to say where things are going, what's going to happen. Obviously, the best way forward always is to adapt. And so that's probably what you should focus on. Just adapt. I mean, you got to stick with what's going on, learn about everything that's happening, and just, you know, keep up with everything. Just like with software, whatever, treat AI like other software, you know? That's all the advice I got for it anyway. We'll see.